this is a big game for both of these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, an international game is an international game. If you obviously someone getting themselves just rested in time for the game, making sure they're fully psyched for this one. But yeah, anytime you get a chance to play international games, you're crazy not to relish it. Yeah, you're right. It's not as exciting as making it to the semi-finals. You know, that's not the way. But today we've got almost a groundhog day of 2 years ago. These teams going at it, and obviously 2 years ago it was Chinese Taipei that came away with the win. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to emulate that again today. It's going to be a tough task. You have a feeling that New Zealand have got better as the tournament has gone on, but for Chinese Taipei, you know, if they can replicate that 65-45 win from 2 years ago, I don't think they'll be too unhappy. I think that's a reasonably good result, finishing 5th in Asia Cup.
Yeah, and there's also that matter of always leaving an event on the back of a win rather than a loss. So you want to go back, you know, from New Zealand's standpoint, they've got 1 win. They'd like to go back with 2, and the same with Chinese Taipei. So, you know, it won't be long before they run onto the court again to play the pre-qualifiers. And if they want to build towards getting into the actual Olympic qualifying tournament, this is a step in that process. And, you know, I think looking at both of these teams, you know, there have been some good things that we've seen, some obviously some bad things. You know, these teams have also had some changes. Certainly for New Zealand, they brought in some new players, which has been exciting to see. And also Guy Malloy now is the head coach. Kennedy Kariyama had been the coach for several years, but now Guy Malloy is at the helm. And you know, you see how they work, and really from their standpoint, from my perspective, they just need time together on the court. So anyway, we're going to have a pause in the commentary for the playing of the national anthems of Chinese Taipei and New Zealand.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of Team New Zealand.
Okay, the battle for 5th place about to commence. About 3 minutes and 45 seconds away from that, between New Zealand and Chinese Taipei. Ken Wagner on the left. We had an interesting conversation with him before the game, I guess, mildly. I don't know if you want to share any of that. But.
Yeah, he was just talking about the structure in Chinese Taipei and the kind of changes he'd like to see.
Referees for today's game, Yi Yoon, Kumiko Kamagi, and Ricor there from Philippines on the left. So Yeah, sorry. And what was he saying?
Yeah, so he's just talking about the system and the development players within Chinese Taipei, and you know, there's just a few changes that potentially they need, that they could really start producing some superstar players that would help the national team programs. And I know it's, you know, a conversation that I know he's having to try and help them find, you know, a process to increase the player development. But it's going to be interesting today. Obviously, a lot of pressure on the front court of Chinese Taipei. Huang Pingzheng had 10 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals in this game 2 years ago. So you maybe see a replay of that.
And she's not in the starting lineup, is she? Wan Ling Chuan, Chen Wei An, Tsai. Just can't read that fast, sorry folks. And here's Wagner. Tell you the other starters. So it's Chen, Tsai, Ching, Huang, who I mentioned, and Lin. And for New Zealand.
Yeah, for New Zealand, again, looking back at that game 2 years ago, Purcell actually stood up and was counted on that one. She got 8 points, 10 rebounds in that game. And I have a feeling that's the kind of game that New Zealand are going to need from the likes of Bawagni and Davidson as well. Really take it to the front court and use that size difference that they have. Haven't seen them do that yet in this tournament, so it'll be interesting to see if they can do it.
And Ashley Kritiana, I understand, is in the starting 5. Yes, she is on the right. Halvas, Taylor, Purcell, and Cox. See, I got them all in that time. And I think that really, I was thinking about this. Purcell, for Guy Malloy, he really needs Purcell on the floor as long as possible. And Kritiana has shown that she can do things. Ashley Kritiana, who gave birth just 4 months ago to little Kaliana, I think it is. And we saw her on the camera. She can do things, to me, that other people can't. She's got a reliable jumper, and maybe her conditioning is not where it is, where you'd want it to be, because she gave birth 4 months ago. But you know, in view of the pre-qualifiers and everything else that's coming up, you know, she's a player that's going to be able to help you even more than she already does. So you want those two, especially on the court.
For me, Purcell's the one. She's struggled to control her foul situation this tournament. She hasn't played as many minutes as she should have done. And New Zealand looked better for her to be on the floor. She brings a different kind of hustle on the defensive end. A very versatile player.
3 points percentage went on the board. Yeah, those 2 and 8 and starter.
Okay,
2, 4, 8, 10, 22.
Okay, let's be ready. Go defensive tip. Let's play hard. Let's have fun.
Okay.
Let's get after it. Let's play good defense. Box out.
Kim Wagner, given the basic basketball instructions that I think any basketball coach would give. Just play defense, box out, and run. Yeah, you have to repeat it sometimes.
You know, the details they've kind of dealt with in the team hotel. They've gone through their game plan for today. I'm sure they have an intricate way of locking down New Zealand, and that's probably not going to be their biggest concern. It's going to be scoring the points for Chinese Taipei. And I think the same can be said of New Zealand. I think if either of those teams can start early and get some points on the board early, they're going to really help their chance of winning this game.
Guy Malloy, we've said it before, but we'll say it again. Twice in his career, he's been the WNBL Coach of the Year, so that kind of speaks to his, I guess, quality over there on the bench. And you have a conversation with him, and it comes out immediately. He knows what he wants to do.
Yeah, very direct coach, plenty of experience, and that's going to be helpful. You know, they haven't had much time together as a team by the sounds of what he's been saying, and it's good that he has a vision for what he wants the team to do, because sometimes you need that strong hand at the rudder to point the team in the right direction. And hopefully New Zealand will seem to have got better each day. For their sake, you hope they take another step forward today.
Well, good afternoon. We're in Bengaluru, India. This is the Fiba Women's Asia Cup. It's the battle for 5th place between New Zealand in white and Chinese Taipei in blue. Chinese Taipei winning the opening tip and going right at it. And of course, as you mentioned, Mark, Chinese Taipei won the battle between these two teams for 5th place a couple years ago in this very arena. So it's almost a sense of deja vu, because a lot of these same players were here for both teams.
They won that one by 20. You know, I think it's hard to believe that we're going to see a 20-point difference between these two teams today. I think they're a lot closer match than that.
And yeah, I think New Zealand actually played better in this tournament. than they had played a couple years ago, although not when making passes like that.
And it just shows, you know, that's from knowing each other, understanding each other's games and getting into a rhythm. You know, exactly what Coach Malloy's been talking about, that they haven't necessarily had as much time as they would have liked together.
But those are the types of issues that all national teams face. And, you know, so they're not isolated in that sense. You have to figure out how to make it work. All right, over to Chen. One rebound out to Chinese Taipei and getting tied up there. Good job by Kalani Purcell.
And that's the kind of play that we're talking about when we say we want to see her on the court more. You know, I think she makes New Zealand play a different way. She gives real heart and hustle on the defensive end, and very versatile, which will help New Zealand out today if she can stay on the floor and out of foul trouble.
So Kalani passes to her older sister Natalie. And Shavana Palvost gets it to Purcell. Oh, a little fake. How about that? Taylor allows Chen to go past her, then reaches in, hits the ball out of her hands. Uh-oh, from long range, and if there's any player you don't want to release it from deep from Chinese Taipei, it's that one right there. Huang, she has been on fire in this tournament.
Should have a great game on game day 4, 11 points to earn there for that one.
And again, the sisters combine, just Kalani to Natalie.
And I find it interesting that New Zealand are starting without Boagni or Davidson. You know, they're wanting to play a bit of small ball, which does match up with Chinese Taipei a little bit better.
Ashley Kratiana over to Palvost. He's definitely tinkered with his lineup every game, starting lineup, but obviously you can adjust those during the game. Into the corner it goes, and Cox misses, but again, Purcell, another positive stat for her, getting that rebound. Shot clock winding down, Palvost launches it, and off the back of the iron.
And that's good, you know, I watched Purcell there, because the last few games she'd have gone for that offensive rebound, even though it was a lost cause, but smartly didn't go for it, just stepped back. You know, no need to cause that foul this early.
And they've left Huang open again. This time they're not punished for it. Good pass ahead by Kratiana to Cox, and Chinese Taipei slow getting back.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch Kratiana there. She literally just waited and waited. She knew that a passing angle was going to come up. She just had to wait so she could get the eye of the needle pass to Cox.
Now, she looks very natural out there for me, Kratiana. That's why I was saying I like it when she's out there. Here's a Chai, though, and again, Purcell doesn't foul, but I guess gave up an easy basket as well. The time misses, nobody under there for the rebound. Oh, great defense by Palvost.
Yeah, that's a couple of times. Purcell did it first. Now Palvost just wrapping the ball up as they drive to the basket.
Hey, look at this. Mark, guess who's checked into the game as we look at the replay. Chen drives into the lane. The Palvost goes out, as does Kratiana. Palvost hearing some, again, getting some coaching. For the first time in this tournament, we see Fotu. One of the many Fotus on the basketball court. Only one on this one, of course. Sister of Dan and Isaac. And Chen hits the three-pointer. So 2 threes already for Chinese Taipei. Also in the game is Tessa Boagni. She catches it in the paint, passes it back over to Taylor, who hits it from the baseline.
It's going to be interesting to see how they use Boagni now. Bringing in, you know, definitely the biggest player on the floor. Are they going to go to her? Are they going to focus on her? Or is she merely going to provide some rim protection and, you know, stop the drive?
Chai Wow. She's been pretty good on that spot on the floor. She knocks in another one. Give and go. The pass wasn't there. Cox back to Boagni. Fotu. And she gets on the scoreboard.
It's a great start, you know, when you've been sitting watching your teammates play for 4 games, and now you come in and you know, start producing straight away. That would be great for Coach Malloy to have that.
Good reach by Taylor. Knocks it into the backcourt with 7 seconds left. It's actually, we were talking about how she pronounces her name. Fotu. Is that right? How would you pronounce it?
I've got it down as Futu.
Futu.
Futu. Yeah, it's different for non-Maoris to try to pronounce Maori names. They certainly have a way of rolling some of the letters, so I'm sure we'll do our best today.
Tsai misses everything. Stella Black, that's an easy one. Stella Beck, excuse me. That's an easy one to pronounce, and she's got the ball, having come into the game. And takes the contact. And we'll go to a line.
And that's been part of the problem for New Zealand. Realistically, she should be hitting that shot. She's done all the hard work. She's drawn the body contact. She's re-established herself after the contact, and it's almost an uncontested layup in the end.
Huang Fan Shan with the push to put Stella Beck on the free throw line. And yeah, you're right. And that just kind of illustrates you go from a potential 3-point play to now the best she can do is a 1-point play.
Or a no-point play, you know, and that's killer. That's been affecting New Zealand and impacting New Zealand for the whole tournament.
Good hands by Beck.
You know, they're not being productive from the free throw line, New Zealand either. Only 65% from the free throw line in the tournament before today, so they need to make sure they convert those type of plays. Otherwise, Chinese Taipei, they're smart to foul.
Dump down low to Boagni. Now Beck. Purcell goes up. Had the reverse layup. Stay after it. Futu. Back outside to Beck. 10 apiece. Purcell fouled by Huang Fan Shan.
And it's great to see New Zealand being more patient. You know, again, I don't think it's a bad ploy from Chinese Taipei to, you know, as long as they can manage the foul situation, to send New Zealand to the line because they're not shot well. But from New Zealand's point of view, there were only 2 seconds left on the shot clock then. You know, as the tournament's gone on, they've become more and more patient on the offensive end, which is going to be, you know, critical for them because snatching at that first shot has proven for them not to work.
Another miss at the line for New Zealand. You can see it's clearly grading on the players as well. It's not like they're trying to miss free throws, but it's a real mental thing, isn't it? You don't want to try too hard.
No, on the free throw line, yeah, you almost want to forget you're there. If you just want to turn on your subconscious mind to take the free throws, how many have you taken in training? How many of you know repetitions have you got in? You almost need to turn off the thinking and just let, you know, the subconscious almost take over and do what it's done 1,000 times.
So Purcell checks out, and Kaitiana back in. Also Paul Vostin guarding Huang Fan Shan. There's Futu. Good to see her out for the first time in this tournament. Tsai. And they were ready for the little pass there. They knocked it away, stole it. Ooh, Beck almost turned it over. And look at that. The path to the basket opened up. It was like the Red Sea parted, and Beck went right through it.
Yeah, and you've got to be concerned for Chinese Taipei. They have to lock out that paint. If I'm them, I'm forcing New Zealand to beat me from outside. I'm not letting them inside. I'm going to defend my paint.
Well, and her little one-on-one back to the basket moves and everything, Tsai, even though she hasn't been playing that much coming into this tournament, she's still pretty difficult to handle here.
Yeah, she's up to 6 points now, 2 rebounds, and she's playing that veteran role that Chinese Taipei needed to.
Another turnover. Chinese Taipei picking up their defense a little bit. Well, that's an unusual air ball. In fact, I think she's got 2 air balls today, Huang, with 1 make.
Yes, yeah, it's not been the same performance as we see Beck, like you say, just flying down a wide open lane. It's not been the same performance, but we see the replays of Chai's work, and she's worked really hard. You know, 35 years old, the issue they're going to have is, can they lean on her for 40 minutes? Probably not. But she is going to be really influential and really important when New Zealand bring on the likes of Brackney and Davidson, because she does provide them with size.
Kaitiana with the right idea, bounce pass, but just the timing was slightly off there. Good hands from Paul Vost. He's really picked it up defensively the last couple of games. Now Lin gets it to Huang Ping-Chin. Little hook shot. Well, that's the player that caused so many problems 2 years ago. And she's put Chinese Taipei back in front.
That's a nice move as well. I'm loving this. Old school drive, spin, come back, and float up on the right hand.
Yeah, nobody's going to block that shot, are they?
It's very, very difficult. If you're reasonably well matched, as long as you haven't got an oversized defender against you, just the space you're creating by putting a hook shot up should be enough to give you the arc to get over.
Paul Vost gives it to Davidson, who's come in. Force it back out. Paul Vost just grazes the net. Well, suddenly the momentum seems to have shifted over to Chinese Taipei. Ju's in the game now, number 77. He gets into the paint. Now Lin. Ooh, they've led to the forearm. No call. Kaitiana gets it for 2. And Kaitiana goes down hard. I've seen that happen a few times. She's got a big bruise on her left arm. I don't know if you can see it, the upper left arm.
Yeah, she's certainly not bothered about sacrificing her body to the hardwood. We've seen it so many times in this tournament. She just absolutely throws herself for loose balls.
She tries her luck from outside.
Yeah, just a little bit flat. Needs a little bit more height in the trajectory on that one. It's always going to be difficult when you shoot such a flat shot to make it.
Huang Ping-Chin again. Passes it out to Lin. Pulls up, and Davidson swoops in for the rebound. Tsai coming from behind, knocking the ball away, risking the foul. Here's Cox. Whew. Final seconds, ticking off the clock here in the quarter. Paul Vost. Kaitiana gets it back, and she gets a layup. Great work from Kaitiana. And with that basket, New Zealand go over to the bench, leading 15-14. Here it is again. Alert, and just enough time to score to put New Zealand back in front. So at the end of 1 here in Bengaluru, it's New Zealand 15, Chinese Taipei 14.
Yeah, it's your shooting stats so far in the game, and New Zealand still struggling from outside. Chinese Taipei shooting a little bit better from outside, but New Zealand doing well, just a few things they need to work on. And you look across some of the other stats as well, it's no wonder we've got a close game. Both teams 5 defensive rebounds, both teams 3 offensive rebounds. It really has been a close first quarter. But you do feel like New Zealand have the upper hand in this game. You feel like they're controlling at the moment, and Chinese Taipei are playing their game. Chinese Taipei will want to change that, no doubt, in the second quarter. I'm sure Coach Wagner's coaching staff are working on that now. But for New Zealand, they just need to start executing a bit better. You know, 1 from 4 from the free throw line, it's not good enough in the first quarter. You know, they've not shot well from the free throw line all tournament, just 64%. And if I'm Chinese Taipei, I am completely blocking up the paint and saying to New Zealand, okay, you might want to beat us, but you're going to have to beat us from the perimeter, because at the moment New Zealand are not showing that they can shoot from outside. You know, they're yet to make a shot in this game. They're shooting less than 19% from the perimeter for the whole tournament. You know, we saw a really effective 2-3 zone from Chinese Taipei against Japan earlier in the tournament, and you know, we hope to see it again. You know, we hope to see, against China, we hope to see that kind of defense again, because they changed the game. You know, they really changed the game when they dropped into that 2-3. They made it really difficult, and when a team like New Zealand is struggling to shoot from outside, I think that's where I'd be going if I was Coach Wagner.
So Leisure Walker comes into the game. New Zealand, she's got it now. Boy, Shai is really causing problems for New Zealand on both ends of the floor, but Cox hits the three-pointer from the corner. Wong King Chen, guarded by Purcell. Her pass intercepted by Davidson. Great defense by Purcell. Leisure Walker had a step on Ju, but Cox couldn't get her the ball. Now Wong almost comes up with a steal. Davidson, a little bit too hard. Ju on the break. So we got Ju from the left corner.
And at the moment, you kind of wonder, what is Chinese Taipei's focus? Because most teams will have some kind of offensive focus. Are they looking to slow it down and play half court, back to the basket kind of basketball, as we've seen the pass to the corner for the Cox jumper? But they don't seem to have, where are they, you know, are they looking to get open shots outside at the moment? It seems to be a mixed message. If they can find one focus on the offensive end and try and execute on that, it might help.
Leisure Walker to Davidson, and somehow Davidson missed that. I don't know if Shai got a hand on it or she had it in her left hand. And Guy Malloy is complaining about a foul. And it costs New Zealand because they go right, Chinese Taipei go right down the court, and Chen drills the three from the corner. I was blocked. I couldn't actually see what happened with Davidson there. Shot clock winding down, and they dump it to Davidson. And the problem, she brought the ball down and allowed Chinese Taipei to knock it out, and it triggers a break.
And the problem is the pass is too early. So they need to let her establish herself inside the restricted area so she doesn't have to take a dribble. She can literally just hold it high and use her body strength to go straight up.
Now the ball goes off of Paula's hands. So Tatiana and Taylor coming back in. Look at this. Ooh. Well, she definitely came down. I couldn't see if Shai got her on the arm or not, but I would be willing to say probably.
And it's interesting, obviously, with Davidson going back out, Tatiana coming back in. It looks like New Zealand are going to lean heavily on a small ball kind of game with Tatiana and Purcell coming into the game.
Ju. Good block. Good job, Beck. Leisure Walker a little careless with that pass, and Guy Malloy is going to call a timeout.
Yeah, just plenty of miscommunication from New Zealand at the moment. Passes going at the wrong time in the wrong place, and You know, they need to be careful.
I think Guy Malloy needs to count to 10 before he starts his timeout. He looks a bit ticked off.
Yeah.
Let's go down and listen.
Quality of our pass. What the team has got to wear is 4 different people doing the same thing. Now let's pick it up. Take more accountability with the basketball. Stop throwing the damn thing away. Make sure that we've got that pass-receiver connection, and then the cutting is hard after that. Get under control. Let's learn through this damn tournament.
所以是对这个后卫做，知道吗？对，2个人都是挡后卫的人，哦，2个中锋上来挡中锋都这个后卫的人，所以你秀拿到都是挡小猪的人哦，对，小猪过了挡了一个之后，你要再连环挡 ，OK？
Okay, let's go.
这边准备好。
1, 2, 3.
And yeah, I think that's the timeout that New Zealand needed as well. It was almost like a defibrillator, the shock in there. But we do thank Coach Malloy for using damn as his toughest word.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to make the apologies when language gets out of hand, but we'll let damn slide, I think.
Yeah, I think obviously he was right, spot on. I don't think I could have said it any better myself. There's Chai with the bruise on her left arm, sitting down. I wasn't exactly sure what to make of that timeout for Chinese Taipei, actually. And Hong Fanshan hits the three-pointer. Chinese Taipei now starting to get the wind in their sails. New Zealand need to hunker down. Oh, beautiful pass. And Purcell gets it to drop.
And I think Purcell, like she was 2 years ago, is going to be a key player for New Zealand in this game. She's just the right kind of player for this game.
Ching to Wang Fanshan, just hit a 3. See if she puts up another one. No, she gets it to Chen for 3. Oh, now that is what we're talking about from Stella Beck. Stay with the play, make the shot, and then you got a chance for a three-point play. She was terrific there.
And that's perfectly exactly what we were saying earlier. The fact that they're making these great opportunities, lovely, strong play. And you can just see how much upper body and arm strength that took to battle her way to the basket. But she didn't take her eyes off the ring as we see the interior pass to Purcell and the score. And that's what it's going to come down to. I think they can overpower Chinese Taipei in the paint. But if they're going to overpower them, they've got to finish the shots because they're not shooting that well from the free-throw line at the moment.
But she completes the three-point play, and really, I mean, she had, I can't remember which player it was, but she was hacked. She showed great strength there, and concentration. Now, Chinese Taipei look to answer. Ju into the corner. Woo! Another 3 for Chinese Taipei. Shot clock down to 5. Purcell over to Beck. Back to Taylor. Now, just looking at Chinese Taipei's numbers from three-point range, they're 5 of 10. So this has been their big weapon on this end of the floor. The ball goes out of bounds.
Yeah, they've not shot particularly well in this tournament, but from New Zealand's side, you feel that they're kind of saying, look, we're going to clog the paint, you're going to beat us from outside, that's fine. And you'd almost wonder if that's what Chinese Taipei should be doing as well, if both teams should be forcing each other to have a three-point shootout. Who's going to perform best from the perimeter in the moment? By far and away, Chinese Taipei, 5 from 10. Is a great shooting performance in just over 15 minutes.
Tatiana from the right corner. Good job by Beck, but not able to control it. So back to Chinese Taipei. Bounce pass. And nice finish by Wu, who's provided a spark off the bench.
Chinese Taipei is starting to come to life now. If I'm Coach Manor New Zealand, I'm starting to worry. They need to put a little bit of water on the fire of Chinese Taipei. And if they don't, you have a feeling that Chinese Taipei could take a significant lead going into the halftime break.
Taylor making a very difficult pass. Fortunately, she dives on the floor, gets it back, and great finish by Purcell.
Yeah, Purcell up to 7 points, but probably more importantly, she hasn't picked up a foul yet.
Wu takes it from deep. Ball goes out of bounds. They're claiming that it went off of New Zealand.
Interesting to see a replay of that shot.
Look at that bounce pass. Yeah.
Wonderful timing.
New Zealand might have called a break there. I would have guessed that somebody hit it.
Either hit the ball or hit the arm, yeah.
Tatiana, great job getting inside, forcing it, staying with it. Now Lin, bounce pass to Wu, but it goes off her hands and out of bounds.
It's interesting, the offensive end for New Zealand there. They played the high pick and roll, and there's some confusion from the defense of Chinese Taipei whether they were switching or not, and they left the cutter to the basket. Unfortunately for New Zealand, they weren't able to find that cutter. But it's interesting because normally you'll have a system. We're switching on everything. Okay, we're only switching 1 through 3 or 4 and 5. We're not switching. You'd know when to switch and when you're not switching.
Beck. Well, they knew the pass was coming. 3 Chinese Taipei players there, and they respond, hustling down. Now New Zealand get it back. They know New Zealand want to take advantage of their size. They're surrounding them. Farnworth has come in. Drives, and a foul's called.
But I think the key for New Zealand is going to be this high screen and roll. But as we see the Farnworth foul, yeah, an easy call for the officials as Han Yain just puts her arm on the shoulder. But yeah, they wanted to draw the foul, and that's what they've done. For me on New Zealand, it's the high pick and roll that's the right play. What you need, though, is you almost need a pick and pop. So you want someone to just, or even a pick and, the slash to the basket. The screener needs to go to the basket quicker.
Hey, Tessa Boagni buries the three-pointer. A rare three-pointer for New Zealand. I think that's their first, isn't it? No, their second?
Yeah, second.
I thought Cox had hit one earlier, but
yeah, it is their second. Second from 9.
Second, okay. Yeah, Cox did hit one of 2.
Yeah.
That's a Boagni. Good form. Puts New Zealand back on top, 28-27.
It's been the game we wanted, though. A close fight. And you have a feeling that both these teams could be right close to each other as we get to the back end of the game. We should have 3 great games today.
Pressure on the ball, like get a hand up. And if your guy goes back, do we got a head snap and look down for that bounce pass, because I'll throw it down low, right? So head snap and look down to take it away. And keep talking up our knee. Okay, now in half court, man or zone, like we're going to run into fist. Okay, so when we're coming up and going into fist, right? But let's look for an opportunity here. So when our 5-man comes down and sets his screen.
Remember, they're coming hard. You've got to meet the ball and be strong. Hey, run 2 this time. Be hard. Okay, let's go. Let's go B. 1, 2, 3.
We've said it almost every game, haven't we, that this last 2 minutes of the first half seems to be really, really important. It sets the stage for the second half. It's almost that 4 minutes that crosses over through the half time. And one thing we've certainly had in the arena is we've seen the fans. We've not had packed houses, we're not going to say that, but we have had a growing fan base. And as you go round Bengaluru, the first day we arrived, a few people knew about it, and it seems to be more and more people know as the tournament goes on.
So Tsai is a real problem back in the game, and also Huang. She tends to rise to the occasion. Han spins, puts it up. Oh, Boagni couldn't catch it. Tsai, though, is there. He is tied up, and the possession error goes to Chinese Taipei. Almost getting a hand on that. On again, spins, really nowhere to go, able to get it back. And again, well, I think New Zealand fortunate to get that.
The frustrating thing is they played perfect defense there. It was just that final phase where they didn't scoop up the rebound, you know. Taylor played wonderful defense to deny, and, you know, you play that great a defense and then you don't do the simple thing at the end and just box out and scoop up the rebound. Frustrating.
Beck, ooh, missed everything, able to get it back. Over to Taylor, she's open. She gets it to go. Biggest lead of the game now for New Zealand. 31-27.
It'll be interesting to see on the defensive end from China.
Purcell anticipates the pass, which was telegraphed, and goes in and scores with the left hand.
Yeah, so for Chinese Taipei, something needs to change up. You know, they have to have a defensive structure change on, you know, almost immediately, because they don't want this game to get away from them before half-time.
Well, Wagner's answer is going to bring Huang Fanshan back in the game, and now another pass into the hands of Beck. Oh. Taylor's pass, I don't think Boagni's going to be able to catch that, but it goes off of Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, it was a poor pass. I think she was trying to almost leave Boagni to go closer to the basket. I think Boagni had sealed out, as we see a replay of Taylor getting a blessing from the basketball gods as that one rattles around the iron and goes in.
Meanwhile, Purcell just does so many different things to help this team win, and it just illustrates why she needs to stay out of foul trouble, because they desperately need her on the court.
And the thing that, you know, that from a New Zealand point of view that's frustrating is, what would it have been like if she played more minutes in the other games? Would she have been able to make the difference that she's made here tonight?
Good D from Beck, gets on the floor for the ball, and forcing it over and back. Okay, so they're going to talk about it. And I think...
No, they're basically saying stop wasting time.
Okay.
Don't pick the ball up. The decision has been made. Don't think you're in control of this game. Very decisive piece of officiating. I like it.
Ooh. Oh, razzle-dazzle from Beck here. Purcell strong with the ball. Back outside, but the pass short, and that triggers a break. The turnover. Lin goes off the hands of Han through Boagni and back into New Zealand. It was like a greased pig out there. Nobody could get it. The only thing we're missing was the squealing. Here is Taylor, open, count it! A second three-pointer here in the last couple minutes from Taylor, and boy, did New Zealand finish that quarter strong. They will go to the halftime break with the wind in their sails.
Yeah, and it's the double act of Taylor and Purcell in this first half. 10 points for Taylor, now 9 for Purcell. Sisters doing it for New Zealand.
I think I see a potential headline here at halftime. Sister act, maybe. 36-27, New Zealand on top of Chinese Taipei. Well, New Zealand, a lot to be happy about, but also, you know, you had to, again, you go back to that play by Stella Beck, the three-point play. They're 4 of 11 from three-point range, New Zealand now. Just one less than Chinese Taipei, shooting 58% inside the arc. I mean, they're, you know, they got to be strong while they're holding on to the ball, because the Chinese Taipei players are really reaching in and trying to knock it away. Those 12 assists, 9 steals. I mean, just a lot to like about the Tall Fern effort. You know, it all changed after Guy Malloy gave him the hairdryer treatment over there.
It worked
during that timeout.
It worked.
You know, sometimes you have to go to the hairdryer, don't you?
Yeah, and it's good. You know, like I said, it's almost like the defibrillator of coaching. You come in and you give your team the shock, and you hope that it brings to life something on the floor, and it certainly did. For them, it was obviously their offense. Both these teams have struggled offensively in this tournament, and for New Zealand to get to halftime scoring 36 points is great, because they've only been averaging 53.8 points a game. You know, they've almost scored that in the first half, so that's a great effort by New Zealand. Chinese Taipei need to up their offensive effort now as well if they want to come back into this one.
Well, it would be a great comeback really for Chinese Taipei, because right now all the momentum is with New Zealand. But gosh, if New Zealand can not only hold on and win, but play well in the second half, that would really do a lot for their confidence. Here's Beck, and this is one of her drives to the basket, and so far so good for New Zealand. So we are at halftime, and it's 36-27. Tall Ferns on top. We'll be right back before the start of the second half. Chinese Taipei trailing at halftime, but Chai had 6 points and 4 rebounds, doing her best to get to the victory line here in this battle for 5th place at the Fiba Women's Asia Cup. The veteran Chai was impressive, especially in the first quarter, but it was New Zealand who really kind of almost took command in the second quarter late, picking up the defense and really making a commitment to get inside, but also getting some excellent play on both ends of the floor from this player right here. They're one of their veterans, Natalie Taylor. So she hit a couple of late 3-pointers, and her sister Natalie Purcell has been doing a great job, as has Stella Beck. And also Tessa Bawagni hit a 3-pointer. A really good performance from the Tall Ferns. And I think that was Taylor's daughter Charlie that was being walked. So far so good for the Tall Ferns, and now Chinese Taipei trying to turn things around. I mean, clearly they're going to present a lot of problems we'd expect in the second half.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to change something up. You know, the back end of that first half, New Zealand really started finding their form, and from the outside as well, which is something that's eluded them in this tournament so far. So Chinese Taipei, there's changes that are needed.
Let's go. Hey, good defense. 1, 2, 3, defense.
All right, so we'll get it in, and we're going to go fist on first play. Now, if they come out zone, so you want to get it over to this side, so you come off with your right hand. You're going to set the pick, you'll roll. Now, if it's zone, then the corner has got to go towards the other. You know what I'm saying? She's coming off here like this. The 4-man's got to stay that guy, because that's the back player. That player's got to run through, and Kalani flattens down. So when we come off, we roll and we throw back for a 2-on-1 that side against something. Understand? So that's where we want to go. Man to man, just read the play, and off we go. Let's get those deflections up again. There you go. Let's go. Start. Keep it up.
First on 3, 1, 2, 3.
It's always interesting to see the role a coach plays when you see him draw up a very specific play to start the second half, and whether his team actually execute the play that he's drawn out, or whether they get dragged into something else, will give you a good idea of, you know, how they are as a unit, whether they're bonded, whether they're on the same page or not. But it sounded like an interesting play, looking to drive to the basket and then kick out and run a little bit of pick and roll on the wing by the sounds of it.
So Bawagni inbounds the ball to Stella Beck, and we are out at the start of the second half. Bawagni takes it down low. Beck follows up for the rebound. The ball goes out of bounds. And yeah, that was a good look, and Bawagni just didn't make the shot. Good defense again from Purcell. She just causes so many problems with those long arms, and she takes the contact. Missed the shot. Good, I guess, good hustle back on defense by Chinese Taipei. New Zealand almost getting a steal back there, but Chinese Taipei collecting it and hitting the jumper. That was Lin.
Just the start Chinese Taipei needed in this second half. You know, a good couple of defensive stops they've had, and a score to get things going on the other end.
Oh, beautiful cut, beautiful pass, but again, the miss. But look at Bawagni stay with it. She misses again, she stays with it, and she will at least go to the line. I mean, you got to applaud her for her persistence, but she's as frustrated as everybody that she hasn't made that shot.
Yeah, actually looks like it's going to be an end-line ball. I find it hard to believe she's not shooting when she's fouled there. We'll see the jumper from the baseline for Chinese Taipei. For me, couldn't be more of a in the act of shooting.
Well, instead, they get to Farnworth, and Beck catches it and goes up and scores. I think Guy Malloy's
I'll be honest,
rather amused on the sidelines.
If I'm New Zealand now, I'm shooting 45% from the field and only 40% from the free throw line, so I probably would rather not have the free throws.
Farnworth bumped by Chai, gets it back. Beck wide open. He's guarded by Huang. And now a little bit of hand check by Huang. Call for the foul. Beck again, warming up top. Nobody's cutting to the basket. And then she tries to go past the defense, has it taken away. Good hustle back by Purcell.
Yeah, great hustle defense, making sure they make Chinese Taipei work as hard as they can on the offensive end. And it's a critical few minutes now, because you feel like Chinese Taipei have got a chance in this quarter early on. New Zealand aren't necessarily playing the same way they were playing at the end of the first half. So they've got a chance of Chinese Taipei to actually maybe chip away at this league, maybe even claim a lead of their own.
Beck and Farnworth coming out, Paul Vost and Cox coming in, and Beck and Farnworth are going to be talking to Coach Malloy about that last offensive set where they didn't get a shot off. Huang from up top. And Chinese Taipei fly in to keep the ball alive and get the 2 points. Now Boagny's in position there. She's just got to go up and be strong.
Yep.
Come down with it with 2 hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Just almost a concentration mistake, that one.
There she is again, catching it, but continues to struggle down low. Good help from Purcell to force the pass to go back outside. Now Chen, Lin for 3, and Chinese Taipei coming right back.
We've seen this in this tournament. The first few minutes of the third quarter as well have really helped momentum swings for teams.
Paul Vost dribbles and again turns it over. The quick hands. I think Malloy might need to get another timeout.
Weirdly, if I'm Coach Malloy right now, I'm going to trust my team to try and organise and sort themselves out.
And now the ball goes through the legs of Huang.
A couple of changes for New Zealand. Certainly it's been Chinese Taipei all over this in the opening stages of this. 7-2 they've outscored New Zealand in the opening 3.5 minutes, and it's probably the 2 points that New Zealand have scored that's the biggest worry. Their offense was doing well in that second quarter. They scored 21 and yet to really light it up here.
Well, they've had some looks. I mean, they've had some, I can count at least 3 down low, and they just haven't converted.
Yeah, it's frustrating. So, you know, prime example is that last one with Boagny, where she got open. They worked really hard to get her right under the basket with the ball, but it just needed a little shot fake and then use her strength. She doesn't need to beat people for speed to get up to the basket. She's going to beat them for power.
Tatiana back in, gets it to Purcell now with Paul Vost in the left corner and knocks in an important 3.
And that's great, and I'm liking that Coach Malloy didn't call that timeout. He's trusting his team to dig themselves out of this hole.
Pleasure Walker seals the baseline. Now Huang open. Oh, that's a foul on Paul Vost, a push on Chen.
And do you want an amazing stat? That is the first foul for New Zealand in the entire game. of any player.
That is incredible.
Unbelievable, huh?
And that's a good call as well.
Yeah.
But that is.
But it tells you two things. One, yes, New Zealand are playing good defense, but two, Chinese Taipei aren't testing them enough.
No.
You can't let a team not have a foul called against you for 25 minutes of basketball.
That is incredible.
Unbelievable. So for me, you know, it tells you that Chinese Taipei aren't being direct and aggressive, which is strange because that's been their hallmark for the whole tournament.
There's Walker, hands it off. Good hands from Chen.
Smiles on the New Zealand bench.
Taylor and Amy West.
Yeah.
Yep. It's always a lot more enjoyable when you're winning. Cox from the corner.
Amy West will be hoping that her teammates manage to get a big lead out because she'll probably see a few more minutes there.
She's got an injury though. I don't know if she'll play. I noticed yesterday she's got an injury in her shoulder.
Yeah, it's been strapped up heavily all tournament. She's played a few minutes, but not many.
Tsai gets to the baseline. Now back out to Huang. And good job by Lin to keep the ball down this end. Chinese Taipei, they get boxed out, but they don't give up on it. They scrap. They try to fight to get around you, to get a hand in there. Here's Leisure Walker. Cox. Back out to Leisure Walker. Inside. Oh, beautiful. Passing by the Tall Ferns, and Gratiana missed the layup. But Cox open for three, and it's good. Well, Gratiana's, I don't know what it is about down low with the Tall Ferns, but
you can thank Cox for getting out of jail on that one. I can imagine what Coach Malloy was thinking and feeling on the sidelines, and Cox just alleviated that slightly by hitting three.
And inside, and Chinese Taipei get an easy one. Chen with 8 points. Another turnover.
Chinese Taipei have done this all tournament. You know, teams have taken leads out, but they've not been able to blow them out really hard, really quickly. You know, it's only their game yesterday that they had that happen to them.
Lin to Tsai. Over to Ching. Look at that little extra effort from Tsai just to knock it away from Leisure Walker.
Yeah, it's really unorthodox way on how they play, like you say, challenging the offensive rebounds.
And they get the ball back and they score.
But on the defensive end, you know, the way you're talking about it, absolutely. For me as a coach, I'll be watching it going, there's too much hands on this defense. There's too many hands. It's too scary, like on the foul situation. But they seem to have such quick hands and read the game really well that they're able to play it that way.
Purcell turned the wrong way, but Leisure Walker was at the right place at the right time.
First score of the game, and you know, she's shown real bright sparks in the tournament. Not quite, maybe taken over as much as we expected, but Leisure Walker's shown the talent she's got, and you imagine those bright sparks will become prolonged phases of play in the coming years.
Batu's coming back in for Leisure Walker. Another foul called on Paulvost. So she's got both of the New Zealand fouls, and it's the right call once again. Chinese Taipei burning a timeout. We'll go down and listen to Coach Wagner. Here again is that Cox three-pointer that pushed, I think, the lead to 10 at that point.
And the thing you've got is Chinese Taipei came out really well. It's just the last 2.5 minutes that they've let New Zealand really get their scoring going. Need to reset back to the first portion of this quarter for Chinese Taipei.
Hey, out of bounds play right here. Okay, we're going here like this, cut up hard, pay right here, and go.
这是边吗？等下是发边。
Hey,
好
you
发边
take it out of
发边就 no
Make sure
等
you
下是
fake.
发底嘛。哦 no it's out here.
Where's the two for the rest of the possession? Our next play in offense, let's come out with a fist again. Okay, let's go.
Good angles on Turns on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, just one time.
You have a feeling Coach Malloy is almost sensing that there's 2.5 minutes here, potentially for them to win this game. They're up by 11 now. If they can carry on the momentum they've had for the last couple of minutes, then they could maybe put it out of reach of Chinese Taipei before they even start the fourth.
You notice how when they break, they go 1, 2, 3 ferns?
Yeah, I like it.
Why don't they say tall ferns? Why don't we just say
Doesn't
ferns?
work. Doesn't work.
Are they going to rename the New Zealand
No, 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 no.
ferns?
Just in the timeout, you need one word: defense or hustle, or you know. The ones that I don't get is when they go win, because I'm kind of like, yeah, we're obviously here to win. That's the ones I don't get.
Ju and almost get some help there from the basketball gods, but it stays out. Kalani Purcell. And puts it up again, or back to the basket. She had to put that crazy shot up because of the shot clock was about to expire. And her first attempt hadn't hit the rim. Wong. Nice stroke. And they've definitely got the players that can shoot them back in the basketball game if you leave them open.
Yeah, they have. It's just finding the structure offensively for Chinese Taipei that's going to work, that's going to get them their shots.
Cox, boy, she is red hot all of a sudden. This has been her quarter.
It's been her game. That's 4 from 5 now from outside.
And good job by Cox. And Fotu stepped in there for the pass, and then Cox is fouled as she attacks the basket. She's looking a bit winded.
I think she's just looking tired. You know, she's played 16 minutes already in this game, and it's not a normal 16 minutes because when Cox is on the floor, she doesn't stop. She really doesn't.
How many days in a row have they played now?
This is game day 5.
Game day 5. So yeah, it's a
game after game after game after game. It's a tough tournament.
Would you say it's a grueling schedule, or would you say it's
Do you know what? It's one of those.
They're playing basketball.
They are, yeah, they are. But what it does is it means that your roster is important. You know, it's not like club basketball where you might have a back-to-back game, but you'll more than likely have rest days or 3 or 4 days off after a couple of games. You know, you really need 1 through 12. You can't have a dip in, you know, quality when you get onto the bench.
So New Zealand back up by 13. Ju to Chai. And she just went right around Tessa Boagni and scored with a reverse layup. Boagni's got to move those feet. Oh, nice little shimmy. I'll tell you, Fatou has a nice little game, doesn't she?
Yeah, it's frustrating. She's obviously playing her first minutes today for the entire tournament off the back of injury, just coming back from it. But you wonder, with Purcell controlling her fouls and Fatou back in the game, would that have made a difference in some of the other games that they've played? Potentially it would.
Ju and back Boagni with the rebound now. Do they want to hold it for one shot, or do they want to break? Boagni, well, she'll get to the line. That's one of those. I wonder what Guy Malloy is saying as we see Boagni get the pressure on. Would you be tempted to pull that out?
What, and slow it down for one shot?
Yeah.
Probably not, but I wouldn't have done what Boagni did. She had a massive size differential. She was going up, I think it was against Chu on the defensive end. And for me, you don't have to do a Euro step. You're not going to outspeed your defender if you're oversized. What you want to do is get it inside, little pump fake, and go up and draw the foul, and you're in control. You're not having to execute a skill at speed. You're executing it in a lot more control.
Both free throws no good for New Zealand. That's a recurring theme. And Boagni again had both hands on it. Ball is knocked out of bounds by Chinese Taipei by Huang. We got to hurry. Cox. Oh, she goes behind her back. Gets a little screen action from Boagny. Then she runs into Boagny and she makes the shot. Boy, that just puts an exclamation mark on the third quarter for Michaela Cox. She owned it. Look at this. This is one of the plays of the game.
Beautiful veteran play.
Might just get on the top 5 for that, for those of you listening.
And you see how it's appreciated on the bench as well. All her teammates smiling and towel waving for that one.
And she's not celebrating. She knows there's still some work to do, but New Zealand looking good. They're up 58-43.
And it was an interesting quarter, that third quarter, because New Zealand started really poorly. They only scored 2 points in the first 3 or 4 minutes, and then they ended up with 22 points in the quarter. So they scored 20 points in probably about 6 minutes in that third quarter. Chinese Taipei had started really well, and then defensively, you know, New Zealand just able to pick them apart, and in both ways, getting to the basket as well as finding outside shots and connecting with them. New Zealand definitely having a better performance from outside today. 8 from 15, 53% from outside. You have to bear in mind, they've shot less than 19% before today's game. So quite disappointingly, annoyingly, their best shooting performance is coming in the 5th place game rather than in the game yesterday when they had the chance of making it to the semi-final.
Yep, there's no doubt they would have rather have played, I guess, this well against Korea, but I think Korea's probably a small step up from Chinese Taipei. What I can't figure out is why the struggles are there at the free throw line, but I mean, that's something they're going to have to.
It's an individual thing.
Work on.
It's completely an individual thing. It's, you know, the coach really can't do much with you. Can help you with, you know, your form and stuff like that, but it's down to you to get your reps up and get the psychology right for the line. But Chinese Taipei, though, the interesting stat that we had in that third quarter was that New Zealand picked up their first foul of the game.
Yeah.
They've just not gone at them, you know, which is weird because we've watched them all week be really aggressive, really direct, try and get themselves to the basket. Even though they're undersized, they want to go in amongst the trees and try and score. And, you know, it just tells you that they've not done that today, as New Zealand have only picked up 2 fouls in the entire game.
Here's Japan getting ready for their semifinal against Australia. That would be a match worthy of late in the World Cup, if you know what I mean. Yeah, and that is going to be a big-time throwdown. Can't wait for that one. Wang Fanshan, oh, good block by Cox, but no, the foul called.
I'd like to see a replay of that. It looked like good defense by Cox. She looks like she just wrapped up the ball, but maybe it was the weak hand that did the damage.
That's a great block.
Yeah, looks like a good block from the replay.
Oh no, she got her on the arm.
Yep, that's a good call. It's a good call, and it's amazing when you think about it, because the officials are calling that in full pace, and we're taking 3 looks at it and a slow-mo to get it right.
Yeah, it took us a couple of different looks, and Wong makes just 1 of 2. Good box out that time by Paul Vost. Wagner catches it well. Just cannot get it to go down low for whatever reason.
No, she's yet to score a 2-pointer in the game. 2 from 5.
But what's interesting to me is it's harder to make that catch in turn than it is to make the shot. She's making the catch, but she's not making the shot. For 2, for 3. She's got a nice stroke. Ball goes,
just a little shallow on the trajectory for me. Just not enough height. I don't know if that's, you know, coming from the knees or whether it is the arms. Primarily, you know, the usual cause is a lack of bend in the knees, but
it's smooth. Fall through.
The hands look great. It's just literally the trajectory arc. It just needs to come down with a little bit more snow than she's shooting at the moment.
Kritiana does a good job getting stuck in. Look at this. I think definitely the possibilities are there for New Zealand as they look ahead, you know, to the pre-qualifiers for the Olympics. Chinese Taipei, though, see if they're going to make a run here. Blagney. Takes on the shot clock. Cox. Back to Kratiana. You know, talking about this pre-qualifying, they've had the draw for the pre-qualifiers. And the groups have been made. New Zealand will be in Group A with Korea, Philippines, and China, whereas Chinese Taipei will be in Group B with Japan, Australia, and India. So that's what we have to look forward to. It's in November, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think they're still finalising the details, but yeah, another absolutely huge tournament for women's basketball.
Kratiana for three! Ashley Kratiana.
I was literally just about to say she's not played as well as she has in some of the other games, but then I looked at her stat line and she's on 5 points, 5 boards, 4 assists.
She's
so
more complete. This is the complete effort today. However, Chinese Taipei score easily. Just under 8 minutes to go. I'm happy that Cox has come out and played well today. Here she is. Oh, telegraph pass by Kratiana. They've got to hurry. She's not going to get it off in time. Oh, she's going to try. Nope.
Wasn't too far, though, to be fair, considering she's thrown it from, what, 25, 30 meters away.
Wagner's grumbling about something over there on the Chinese Taipei bench. Meanwhile, Fatu checks out. Actually, a few substitutions here. Stella Beck comes back in. Kalani Purcell and Natalie Taylor. Oh, good. Look at that. Immediately coming out. Purcell and getting a hand on the ball. Here's Huang. That's how you want Huang attacking the basket, fading away. Now,
yeah, nice little crossover.
Beck goes in again. Wasn't quite as successful on that drive. Long with the pump fake, no look, and Natalie Taylor did not bite on the fake. She took it away. At the front of the rim. 6.5 minutes to go. Chai. Get the feeling that Chinese Taipei just need a 3 to go in to spark them. Something positive, and they can maybe get back into this. Chai drives in, and there you go. She will go to the line for a potential 3-point play.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. They just need something to create a spark, because they do thrive off confidence. You see they are a team of runs, and if they can get this score, maybe a defensive stop and another score, you know, you're back into single digits at that point, and then it really does become anyone's game as you go into the last few minutes of the game.
She does not make it. I wish I could have heard what Guy Malloy was telling Stella Beck during that free throw. It must have been about her her attempted drive. I have to ask him after the game. Oh, the reach in. Almost forcing the turnover. Purcell for 3. And good box out by Kratiana and put back.
New Zealand on the offensive end there, they just don't move the ball quick enough. The ball gets stuck in the hands of a player for way too long. I don't know if it's just because they're not sure where each other's going to be, but against the zone, you just want to move that ball. Keep it moving, make the zone defense move. When you keep it stationary, it's easy to defend.
Shaking and baking down low, Lynn, and she's fouled by Beck. Stella Beck gets the bump. I haven't spoken to Stella at this tournament. I wonder if she's kind of Americanized her accent a little bit. Having spent some time in California.
I think everyone does. I actually New Zealanded my accent when I went to New Zealand for a few months, I ended up putting A on the end of every sentence, like I was asking a question. It really confused myself and everyone when I got home. They didn't know whether I was asking a question or not.
Kids were like, Dad? Oh, no,
it's pre-kids, pre-kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so timeout. You see Australia getting ready for the semi-final. They bounced back strong from their defeat to China with a big win yesterday.
It's way too slow. Let's get through stuff there. All right, next play.
Exactly what you said, too slow.
A regular 4 on the next play. If it's zone, we're going to go into the elbow and then turn and look, because I think if we turn and look from the 1 man, right, we'll get the 5 man, we'll have that high low. If not, we want to go to Ash down on the short corner. You understand? So we'll pop out, we can direct it away, come back to Ash, and Fulani will dive. Right, don't play with the margin. We've got to.
And it really is last chance saloon for Chinese Taipei now. 5.5 minutes to go, down by 15. They need to make a move. They need to start breaking down New Zealand's lead. And you'd hope they have an answer, because it's going to have to be one that turns up pretty quickly.
Han back in, caused a few problems in the first half for New Zealand, as did Wu. And Wu,
great hustle by
was able to knock it out. Yep. There's Lin for 3, and that's when you give up those, give away those offensive rebounds. It gives the other team that second chance, and they often score with a 3, especially a team like Chinese Taipei. Pass to Beck. She holds off her defense. Defender Wu puts it up, follows up the miss, but can't hold on to the ball.
And again, the ball's just way too stagnant. It needs to be quick passes, pass, and do something with it. Do something with it every time.
And getting inside. Lin gets near the rim but misses. Now Beck, missed everything, but the ball goes right to Polvost. Back again, pump fake, and it says, I'll just take the layup, and takes it back up to 14 points.
Yeah, no rotation, no help side from Chinese Taipei, and Beck makes them pay for it.
Three-point attempt. Han boxed out, able to get a hand on it, but now Taylor's got it. Under 4 minutes to go. Wagner getting ready to check back in. Taylor for 3, short. Oh, Lin just kind of lost control of it. Taylor ties up Han. And it'll be Chinese Taipei ball. Possession arrow. Cox also comes back in with Boagni. There you see
just some sweat on the floor that they want to clean off before we have the inbound. Once again, New Zealand seems to have taken another step up today. They've done it every game day that we've seen them, and now, according to Coach Malloy, I suppose it's just them getting to know each other and building that team spirit, really, and that team understanding that's done it.
3.5 minutes to go. Chinese Taipei kind of need to get things going here. Clock is the enemy, as well as New Zealand. Farnworth checks in, gets the ball.
That was a wonderful save by Taylor as she was falling out of bounds.
She just does so many little things like that.
Yeah, so invaluable for New Zealand. She really is. Like you say, it's all the stuff that doesn't show up on a box score, but every coach and everyone that knows basketball knows how big those plays are.
Purcell, that's a little long, and falls right into the hands of Boagny. Boy, that is about as lucky as you can get.
Yeah, and I think Purcell's got a smile on her face, and I'm surprised she's not trying to claim it was an assist.
Yeah, pretty sure she won't get that. Foul. Purcell picks up her first foul. Well, it had to come eventually.
Yeah, it did. But she's done a wonderful job today. But you could see from the start that she was consciously thinking, I'm not going to pick up early fouls. I need to be in this game. I need to help my team. You know, psychologically, she's kind of let the games run away with her a little bit. And yeah, it's just not happened today.
Nice pass down low. And just hasn't been Chinese Taipei's day.
No, it's not. And I kind of wonder, you know, have they missed Poncha Ching? Because she's sitting out. She's in a civvies on the bench. So she's not, you know, obviously picked up a niggly injury or something in the last game. And she definitely brings something to the game. I think they usually play with a little bit more pace, a little bit more energy offensively when she's on the floor running things.
Pushing off. Talk about lack of preparation time. Really, I mean, Chinese Taipei, what, they only got together 4 days before the start of this thing? I mean, that's just not enough time, is it?
No, not particularly as you aren't bringing a team that know them. You know, they don't know each other that well. You're almost bringing two separate teams, some of the university program and then some other players alongside. So 4 days to even learn your teammates' names, let alone how they play the game and what their strengths are, is quite an ask.
3-second violation on Boagny. Yeah, but you know, I mean, that's again kind of the new system of competition. Amy West is going to check in. I think Gaimon will be happy when he looks back at that highlight.
That's exactly what he was asking for in the timeout, that high-low game. So yeah, New Zealand executing perfectly to his plan.
Three-point attempt from Chen. There's no Huang. Cox to Amy West. That's a blatant push there, but anyway.
Definitely. And definitely caused her to drop the ball out of bounds as well. But Amy West is an interesting one, just 19 years old, obviously a prospect for the future for Kiwi basketball.
It's probably good for her, actually. You got to get used to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and this is the thing. When you speak to any player and they talk about Fiba basketball and they talk about the physicality, it's the first word that they all use, particularly, you know, the guys that play in the NBA and WNBA, they just say the physicality of Fiba basketball is just on another level. So, yeah, getting used to that as soon as you can is a good thing. She only made a debut in one of the warm-up tournaments for this competition earlier in the year against the Philippines, so a real prospect for New Zealand.
Look at that. Hawthorne's almost forcing the violation. Nice stroke from Huang. Well, she was able to do it 2 years ago, provide the inspiration for a big win for Chinese Taipei, but it hasn't worked out this time. You've got Cox, you've got Taylor, Purcell, whole cast of characters for the Ferns today have gotten the job done for New Zealand, and takes away, I think, some of the sting of the disappointment of not getting to the semifinals, certainly this performance today.
And also, like you said, it's great to finish a tournament on a win.
Oh, nice swat from, look at that. Purcell falls out of bounds, so I'm gonna go help her up. Here comes Farnworth.
You know, they'll take this forward. It's only a couple of months now till they do that pre-qualification for the Olympic qualifiers. You know, they'll take, coming into that off a win like this, it's a real bonus. And it's the opposite for Chinese Taipei now. You know, they're coming into that game having lost this game, into that tournament having lost this game. It's going to burn your minds. They'll need to put that to bed early if they're to continue and keep their Olympic dream alive.
Heard that the pre-qualifiers could end up being in New Zealand, so I'll put my hand up for that one if I had a chance. But
in November as well, lovely time in New Zealand, November.
Absolutely. So wonderful performance from New Zealand. Tough luck for Chinese Taipei. They will go back to the drawing board. And I think, well, these tall ferns certainly will leave with a smile on their face after this performance. They win it 71-56 over Chinese Taipei.
So Coach Wagner there, he'll have to start thinking about his plans for those Olympic pre-qualifying games that are coming up. And they're coming up thick and fast for them as well. You know, it's not a big gap, so he'll be looking at the roster of their changes to make, additions to make. But for New Zealand, Coach Malloy will be happy that they bow out on a high, you know, that they don't go out with the loss, and that they finish one better than they did last time here at the Asia Cup.
Yeah, they finally found their range, didn't they, today? And I think that's Kaliana, I think. I know Charlie's up there somewhere as well. But anyway, great win for New Zealand, and now they will stretch and go back, and obviously they'll join their club sides and get into that. Get into that part of their season. Here are the numbers. Look at the threes for New Zealand. 9 of 23, 39%.
And 9 of 22 for Chinese Taipei. And the funny thing is, neither of these teams have shot the ball well at all this tournament. So amazing that they save it for the last game.
You know it's been a good performance when you don't know who to pick out as the MVP for the game.
No, definitely tough to pick one of the New Zealand players as the standout player. And Cox has obviously led them in scoring. Purcell with another big rebounding night for her. And Huang, Chinese Taipei with 13 points. And Chai, you know, veteran role for her, picking up 7 rebounds. But for me, I think if I was to plump for anyone, I think, again, like 2 years ago, I think Purcell was the game changer for New Zealand tonight. She seemed to be doing a little bit of everything. And it almost summed it up on that last play. She got that block on the last play of the game, threw herself to the hardwood, even though the game was won.
Well, Huang, not sure which Huang it was, but had 13 to lead Chinese Taipei. Just double check here for you as you look at some of the highlights.
Huang Pingjing.
Okay, Huang Pingjing. So it was the star from 2 years ago. And now we'll get ready for the semifinals. But before we do, we'll also look at some of the highlights of this game. And what was your favorite play of the game?
It's hard to pick out a favourite play of the game. I just like the way New Zealand came out with a different intensity than they have in previous games. I'm still frustrated by them, I'm not going to lie.
Well, I'm going to tell you what my favorite play was.
Go for it.
Because I know you wanted to ask me.
Go for it.
I know I was a fan of Cox getting the ball down quickly and scoring that layup right before the end of the quarter. But my favorite play, I think, was Stella Beck. After we had said, listen, she's got to be able to finish that shot and get a three-point play. And it was almost immediately after. I guess it was coming out of the timeout.
Yeah, it was.
After they'd been chewed out by the coach. Got the hairdryer treatment. She held the ball strong. She went in. She scored. And she made the free throw.
And to be honest, I like the reaction from the New Zealand players after that timeout. Yeah. You know, they didn't have some players will sulk when they've had a telling off. It's like mum and dad have told you off, and some players will go and sulk about it. New Zealand didn't. They kind of went, you know what, he's right. We're not doing what we should be doing. We're not playing to the level that we should play at. So it's time for us to start stepping up. And from that moment, they really changed the game. They did step up defensively. The intensity went up, and then offensively, they started to find their form from outside.
Now they could have. Okay, I mean, you could say, yeah, they could have played this well yesterday, but the bottom line is they didn't.
Nope.
You know, Korea probably had something to do with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And but nevertheless, you know, you can use this as a good building block moving forward. And again, part of me thinks that, okay, yeah, they're going to be I said they're going to be leaving with a smile on their faces because smiles on their faces because they've won here at the end. But on the other hand, you know, maybe they should be angry because they know they could have done better.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. And I was speaking to Coach Wagner for Chinese Taipei before the game, and I said, you know, what was your realistic target? You know, everyone goes, we want to win the tournament. Obviously you do, but what's the realistic target? And he said a top 4 finish. You know, and he was adamant. He was saying, we truly believe we're a better team than Korea. We've beaten them numerous times. They've got, you know, maybe not as strong a team as when we beat them as well.
They led them for most of the game, and they ended up losing by 4.
Yep, and I think the same for New Zealand. I think top 4 was where they were looking to get to. They're 5th. It's better than last time, but still maybe not as good as they wanted it to be.
So that's the first game of the day. We now have 2 semifinals, starting with Japan, Australia, and ending with China, Korea. So nip off to the kitchen to get a cold one or perhaps a hot tea, and make sure you join us for the next games. Thanks for watching, folks. New Zealand win it to finish 5th over Chinese Taipei.